What's going on, everyone? Sneaky Mofo here, back with a new cheat engine tutorial for you. Today your mission is to solve one problem a bunch of different ways. So we're going to be using step 2 or step 1 technically, like the first thing you have to do in the cheat engine tutorial. So you don't need any games or anything, just download cheat engine, install it, go to help cheat engine tutorial, and that's how you can bring this up. So what are some of the different ways that we can solve this? Excuse me, got a little bit of stuff going, seasonal allergies and whatnot. So the first thing that we're going to do is attach cheat engine to the tutorial program here. And it's right there. And the default way that you would solve this is search for 100. Excuse me. Go hit me, now search for 95. Alright, and then you bring this value down, and then what it wants you to do is put 1,000 in there. Alright, so we do that, and here next becomes available, and then we can go to the next step. Alright, so that's one way to do it. That's the default way. I'm going to quit out, got to open it again because you can't just go back to it. Go next, reattach. No, we will not keep the code list. Okay, what's another thing that we can do? Let's find what writes to the address. So we'll do a new search for 100. Go hit me, look for that value 96. Bring that down. Let's find what writes to this address. This is going to find any instructions that write a value to this address. So whatever instruction it is that's putting 96 here, presumably after all the math happens where it subtracts once you get hit. Alright, so we bring that up and then you do hit me again, and there's the instruction. So once we have the instruction there, what we can do is go show disassembler, and here we can see all the instructions of what's going on. And with this move here, this is saying move a value from EAX into the memory address residing in EBX plus this offset. So that's what brackets mean. If we had brackets around this EAX, then it's not saying put a value in the EAX register itself. It's saying that EAX, the register, has a memory address in it that it's referencing. So the brackets around this would mean put or take a value to or from the memory address that this is referencing. Okay, so because there's no brackets around this EAX right here, it's going to look in the register at the value that's in the register. So if there was a memory address in EAX and we wanted to reference that but we didn't use brackets, that would be incorrect. We'd be taking like whatever literal number the address happens to be, and it would be using that. Alright, so when you see brackets, that means a memory address is being referenced inside of a register. And then you've got stuff like this offset. Alright, so that's what that's doing. So since we know that this move is moving some value from EAX into this register, let's go back here and let's see what EAX actually has in it. Alright, 5E. Now if you can come into cheat engine here, check hex, paste this on check hex, and 94. Alright, health is 94. So we know that in EAX is the current value of health. That's what we're seeing. So it's moving the current value of health into our memory address here. Alright, so what we could do is create code injection or AOB injection. I just like to do AOB pretty much always. And then instead of moving what's in EAX into here, we could move, what do we need, 1,000? We can just say move int 1,000 and then assign that to current G table. I'm sorry I keep coughing in your ear. I really wanted to record this video, so. Alright, so now once we enable that, it's not going to do anything until we hit me, because once you hit me, that's when all the instructions will take place that make this write a new value to this address. Alright, so let's say hit me, and there next is available. All right, so that would be another way to do it. So I'm going to close this out. Yes, close that, close this, and stop and close that. Now we will open it again, and we'll reattach. I kept forgetting to do this when I was kind of like going over this the other night. No, we don't want to keep or disable. Delete, delete. Okay, so what's something else we can do? That's a couple of different things. We know that this next becomes available once our health value equals this number. So what is this next button? Like, what's going on? How does this next button know to come up? Like, how does it know that our health equals the right value? Well, it's got to be looking at that memory address where current health is stored. So what we'll do is a new scan for 100. Go hit me, 99. Next scan. Bring that down. I want to see what accesses this address. So tell us anything that is accessing any instructions that are looking at this address. And then if we did hit me, we would see another instruction pop up here, because accesses also means read, write, whatever. So, you know, where you have find out what writes to this address, that's a very specific thing. That'll look at only instructions that are writing to the address. Anything that accesses the address includes writing and reading. Anything looking at that address saying, has anything changed here? Has anything changed here? You see these counts? This is how often this instruction is looking at the value in this memory address. It's just counting up. It's saying, hey, what's here? And what is it doing? It's comparing, all right, this number to the value, remember these brackets here, the value that's in the memory address at EBX plus the offset 480. All right, and that equals this memory address right here. All right, and we can see that by looking at what's EBX down here. All right, this is the address that's in EBX plus this offset. So EC8 plus 480. We would end up with F348. All right, so that's what that's saying. So we can go show disassembler, and when we have a compare, you can do a couple of different things. You know, first, let's just utilize something in Sheet Engine here. I want to talk about flags. Flags is something that I never see anyone talk about, and they're very, very important. So basically, whenever you have a compare like this, okay, this instruction is saying compare this number with the value that's in this address, right? This next thing says jump if not equal. Jump if not equal to this location. All right, and if you scroll down a little bit more, it gives us a little dotted line showing us where that jump is to. All right, so we jump past all this and go straight to here. Pop EBX, we have a return, which will take us back to excuse me, the spot where we'll have to keep doing the compare. So it keeps comparing, keeps comparing, keeps comparing. Is it equal? No, it's not equal yet. Okay, jump to here, return, come back, compare. Like, is it equal? Is it equal? All right. Once it's equal, all right, once our memory address, once this value right here is equal to this, which 3E8, we can see, go hex 3E8, uncheck, that's 1,000, and that is what we need to make this equal. Okay. Once that equals 1,000, it's not going to do this jump. It's going to skip this, and then it's going to go straight to here and start doing this. Okay. So, how does this know to jump or not to jump? Right? So, basically, this compare checks to see if these two values are equal. This jump says if they're not equal, then I'm going to jump. But this one instruction here, it doesn't say jump if this is not equal to this. You know, if this isn't equal to this, then jump here. Like, that's not all in this one instruction. We have one instruction before it that's doing the question asking, and this is handling the result. But how do you know? So there's something called a zero flag. Okay, so there are flags in the system, and I'm going to show you what those are. I'm going to change register at this location. All right, you see these flags right here? There's a bunch of flags. These all reside in their own register. It's called EFLAGs register. All right, and so each of these flags means something. Carry flag, zero flag, etc. The zero flag, okay, imagine this. You're going to an event where someone's going to be asking you yes or no questions. And they hand you a sign. And on one side of the sign you have yes, on the other side of the sign you have no. Some guy comes out, asks you a question. You hold up yes or no. Someone else comes out, checks for that answer, and based on your answer, they give you some instruction. They tell you to do something. All right, so that's kind of like what the flag is here. It's yes or no. So this compare is like the first person that comes out and says, hey, are these two things equal? You say no. You hold up no. J and E here, that's person 2. They come out, they look at your answer. Were those equal? You have no up. They say, all right, well, we're just going to go here. Right? Now, if you had held up yes, okay, that would be your yes. So no is this. The zero flag would be at 0. That would be no. If you held up yes, the zero flag would be set. So if you held up yes, okay, then what happens when you step through? We're going to say, okay, watch this next. See how that popped up? So what we did was right here, we told Cheat Engine to tell this instruction that the answer was yes. So even though our value is still 99, it's not 1,000, we told Cheat Engine that basically forget about what this guy here said. We're telling you the answer is yes. So it's just not even going to listen to this up here, and it's just going to continue through. So this here, this next, all that is down through here. Okay, and we can dig in even more if we wanted to try to figure out specific stuff about this button or whatever. But all that we want to do is defeat this, right? So we could do that. We could have just come in here, find what accesses, look at the compare, look at the jump afterward, right click, change register at this location, set the flag manually, and boom, we're past it, right? All right, so now we can you can right click and you can say toggle breakpoint to turn it off, or you can come into view, breakpoint list, and here are your breakpoints. This one here is this. So once we stop this, that breakpoint's gone. And this is the one that we set here. We'll delete breakpoint and you see it goes back to normal. So we'll close those things. And Cheat Engine tutorial. Open it up again. I think we're at 3 there. Yes. Alright. New scan. For 100. Hit me 95. Next scan. Alright. Here's the address this time. So now what we can do is we can say find what accesses this address to bring up that instruction again. Okay. And we can go show disassembler. And what's something that we could do to, we know that when this compare happens, that flag is what's checked, yes or no, and that's what this looks at. This doesn't look at the value in this register and some other arbitrary value, right? This purely looks at the result of this compare, and the result is yes or no, which is that flag, okay? So what could we do here? Well, we could also just knock out this instruction. All right, so I'm going to do that real quick and show you what that's like. Just say replace with code that does nothing, and it's going to, these 2 bytes right here will become 9090. All right, effectively do nothing. So this compare will happen, but then it'll see nothing, nothing, and then it just goes straight to making the button active. So replace with code that does nothing. and there next became available. And we could write a cheat that tells it to do that so that you're not actually writing it live to make it do it instantly, you know. So we'll go next, close. That's another thing we could do there. Close this back out. I know this gets kind of tedious closing and reopening, but once you get used to it, it's not a big deal. All right, now we will attach once more here. Do you want them disabled? Yes. Yeah, I got some code in the code list here. Get rid of that. All right, let's do this again. 100, new scan, first scan, hit me, 96. Next scan, here's our address, find what accesses. Yes. All right, so we've got this here, show disassembler. What else could we do, like, logically, to make this jump not happen? Jump if not equal. You know, let's just pretend, well, in other words, how do we set the 0 flag to 1 without this compare? Well, there are a bunch of different things that'll actually set that flag. Test, XOR, there's all kinds of different stuff that will set the 0 flag. And since we know that that's all this is looking at, the 0 flag, we could presumably change this to something completely different that we know will set that flag to yes. And it doesn't even have to have anything to do with the registers that are related. We just need to set the flag to yes. So what's one thing we could do? We could do tools, auto-assemble template, AOB injection, okay, yes. All right, and instead of doing this compare here, let's XOR EAX, EAX. So what that effectively does is set EAX to 0, but it also sets the 0 flag to 1 because EAX equals 0. And if you don't understand how XOR works, just Google it, you know, and, or, nor, XOR, all that stuff. All right, you've got to spend some time looking into it to really like wrap your head around it. But long story short, XOR EAX, EAX makes EAX equal 0, which sets the 0 flag to 1. All right, so if we do that, and that XOR is going to replace this compare, we've effectively just set the flag to 1, which we know this is going to be looking for. All right, so now we say, come here, we go, file, assign this to current cheat table, close. All right, and we will stop this. Bring this up so you can see the next button. Actually, got to bring it up a little bit here. Bring this down. There we go. All right, so once I enable this, you'll see right here, this will change to a jump, and then you'll see some knops. And then this next button will become available. All right, see how that happened? So what happens is we're doing our code injections. So once this instruction is reached, which was the compare, all right, we follow that. Here's our XOR. Then it jumps back to where it left off, follow, and that's that J and E that came after that compare. We didn't even need the compare, we just needed to set the 0 flag to 1 to make this next become available. So we're exploiting the functionality of this next button, basically, to make it do, you know, what we want it to do. So, yeah, I think that's four or five, but this video is probably getting to be a little bit long. But I just wanted to show you a bunch of different ways that you could tackle the same sort of cheat, you know, make the same thing happen. You know, the longevity of it and you not having to come back in and do it all over again will depend on you actually writing, you know, scripts that you're not going to have to do it again. You just come back in, you know, do something like an AOB script, and then we can just keep doing that, right, without having to go back in and do the whole process over again. So basically, the more assembly you learn, the more you get into it, and there's a lot to learn. I know it seems like I know a lot because you're watching this, but I really don't know that. I mean, I just barely have a grasp on what I would consider the fundamentals of assembly. So, you know, there's tons of reference material out there, and So yeah, the more you learn, the more creative you can get with your cheats, because it opens more avenues for you to understand what kind of things you can exploit and how you can create your cheats. You know what I mean? So, what's some other things that you could do in here? Like these password numbers. What if you try to find where those are stored and, I don't know, create some cheat based on that takes you to the very last tutorial when you hit me instead of entering that at the very beginning of the tutorial and it takes you there. Just get creative, get weird. The great thing about using something like the Cheat Engine tutorial is that it's such a lightweight application, essentially, that when you crash or whatever, it's not a big deal. You just come back into help and open it, and then that way you're not launching like a, Fallout 4 and you got to wait to get back in the game, blah blah blah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this is your first time seeing my channel, make sure to subscribe. Check out my other Cheat Engine tutorial videos, and I'll just talk to you guys soon. All right, take care.